Soul Land Episode 178 Original Novel DouLuo DaLu. Notice for YouTube, tomorrow I rest one day, I want to upgrade some background images. Maybe rest for 1 or 2 days, soon I re-upload, guys if you comment just comment where you from phehe. Chapter 211. Narrowly Escaping Death, A Blessing in Disguise. TL by Piggy Bottle and Helper. Very quickly, Tang San calmed down, while a trace of a smile could be seen on his face. Even such an act could bring him immense pain, but how could he hold back? Because, he had already ascertained that he is still in fact alive, and more importantly Xiao Wu's spirit was still fine, sleeping in his spirit ring and spirit bone. However, the spirit power in his body. It was something that Tang San felt was ridiculous. He only now realized that the intense physical pain he was experiencing, was actually all brought to him by his spirit power. What's more, it was not because of a sudden loss in spirit power, but rather there was way too much spirit power within him. So much so that each of his meridians was so filled that it was unable to flow, giving him the same feeling as all his blood vessels being clogged. This feeling of pain was due to the swelling of his meridians. He could already be considered fortunate that under these conditions, his body had not burst apart. This could really be considered the fortunate part of his misfortunes. Around him was only the sound of rushing water constantly crashing against the shore and at the same time washing his body. Tang San definitely knew that cultivating under these circumstances was definitely not safe. But right now, he had no way to change his condition, just those simple movements from just now cause him almost enough pain to pass out, let alone if he wanted to walk. If it was only pain, then perhaps he could still withstand it. However, if the meridians inside him burst because of his own movements, then that would be big trouble for him. As the incidents before he fainted started to resurface, Tang San gradually recalled what happened causing the meridians to swell so much within him. It was definitely because he excessively tried to absorb the energy within the deep-sea demonic whale. That thing's strength was immense, however its defense was only so-so. It was pierced and drained by his 8 spider lances. In actuality, he had no idea of knowing that it was not that the whale's defense was average, rather the place that he had choose to attack was where the deep-sea demonic whale had been injured. Under normal situations, if other organisms tried to attack the deep-sea demonic whale, before they even reached it, they would have already been reduced to powder under its fierce attacks. Tang San managed to reach the deep-sea demonic whale only because he had the ability to teleport in his invincible golden body. After the 8 spider lance's second evolution, its sharpness had risen many times, and its penetrating power was many times stronger than what Tang San had himself believed. In addition to him happening to pierce into the weakest spot of the deep-sea demonic whale, it barely allowed him to be able to penetrate its skin and absorb. How did I actually survive? The deep-sea demonic whale's rage was something that Tang San could clearly remember. He absolutely didn't believe that big fellow would let him off for no reason. What's more, when the torrent of water fell on him, he was already certain that he was going to die. Forget it, regardless, it's enough to just be alive. The feeling of survival was really refreshing. Although his body was not in good shape, it was still better than being dead. Tang San was a smart person, he would not relentlessly pursue questions which had no way to obtain an answer for. After taking a deep breath, he began to cultivate. This breath immediately wrecked his body with pain like a sudden flood, causing him to almost immediately give up. But he gritted his teeth and continued. His mental energy was pretty hollow, but still barely enough for him to use. Before cultivating, he carefully inspected his own body. He discovered, when he was absorbing strength from the deep-sea demonic whale, he had overdone it, which resulted in his body becoming all swelled up. And at this point in time, although his body had returned to normal, the energy he had swallowed was unabated, being forcefully compressed by his own body without even a shred of it leaking out. No wonder it was so painful, thought Tang San as he bitterly smiled on the inside. At that point in time he had only intended to hurt the deep-sea demonic whale as much as he could. Who would have imagined that he would end up like this? If he knew he would survive, then he should have absorbed less back then. Absorbing energy did not mean that it could be used directly by him. That was impossible. In the past, Tang San had also killed with the 8 spider lances, he had also felt the absorption from it before. The energy absorbed from people also varied, different people or spirit beasts all gave him a different absorbed energy. When compared to the spiritual power within himself, this absorbed energy felt crude and impure. Normally, Tang San would use his mysterious heaven skill to purify these energies, releasing the impurities directly in the next attacks, leaving only a little purified energy to bolster his body and spirit power. Even so, the boost was very small. What could be easily resolved previously, however, was not applicable to Tang San presently. This was because what was usually absorbed in the past was energy transformed from his foe's vitality. Compared to the energy in Tang San's body, it was negligible. But now, the energy Tang San had absorbed originated from the deep-sea demonic whale, a terrifying 100,000-year spirit beast with all its vitality and strength. At that level, there wasn't a single spot in its body that was devoid of huge spirit power. Thus, it resulted in the scenario by which the energy Tang San had absorbed in his body was greater than that of his own spirit power, suppressing his mysterious heaven skill such that it couldn't initiate at all. Otherwise, the mysterious heaven skill would have assimilated this energy. After compression, the absorbed energy became seemingly solid, clogged in Tang San's meridian. It was fortunate that blood could still barely flow, or else Tang San would never regain consciousness. Realizing the predicament of his body, Tang San couldn't help but be dumbfounded. What could he actually do? The suppressed mysterious heaven skill could not circulate at all, forget about cultivation, he could not even expel the energy out of his body. Currently, his body was like an inflated balloon. If a perforation appeared, not only would the energy be discharged, but also his blood and life force. Sitting silently in the seawater, Tang San gradually recovered his mental strength. Just as his was pondering, his right arm gave off a warm feeling, and a stream of telepathy surfaced in his mind. Xiao Wu's soul remained within the 100,000-year spirit ring and spirit bone, and could not communicate directly with Tang San. Only when fused with her physical body could she temporarily converse normally with Tang San. Still, she was presently a part of Tang San's body, thus could clearly feel his body's condition. Although it was not truly an interaction, she could still transmit a vague thought. With Tang San awake, Xiao Wu's soul sleeping within Tang San's spirit ring and spirit bone also regained consciousness. Having felt the situation Tang San's body was in, she was greatly shocked as well, yet more of it was excitement. After all, Tang San was still alive, and her soul still existed. This made Xiao Wu's will active, and through the spirit bone she possessed, she conveyed her thoughts to Tang San. Sensing the will arising from his right arm, Tang San's heart leapt. Given his intelligence, he immediately understood Xiao Wu's intention. That won't do, Tang San replied immediately. It's too risky to direct this crude and solid spirit energy into your spirit bone. Any mishaps and it will affect your soul. Xiao Wu's intention was simple. Since Tang San's body could not expel the energy, the only alternative was to store it in an appropriate location, leaving a small amount in his body. As such, he could utilize his own spirit power to gradually purify this impure spirit energy, and resolve his crisis. You say I'm stupid. Tang San felt Xiao Wu's second message. He realized immediately, however, and a flash of hope appeared in his eyes. Right. I cannot direct the energy into your spirit bone, but I have other spirit bones. There were 4 pieces of spirit bones in Tang San's body: Wisdom Skull, 100,000-year Blue Silver Emperor right leg bone, 100,000-year Xiao Wu's right leg bone, and the 8 spider lances on his back. With a simple analysis, Tang San knew where to temporarily store the impure energy. Xiao Wu's spirit bone was out, Blue Silver Emperor right leg bone harbored a sliver of his mother's spirit power, he naturally would not risk it. As for the Wisdom Skull, it was located in his head, if the energy leaked and penetrated the brain, he might not die, but would certainly become an idiot. After the simple comparison, the only place to fulfill this mission was the 8 spider lances on his back. Turning his mental strength to his back, Tang San found out that the 8 spider lances, which were extensively damaged, had regenerated. This was not only Blue Silver Emperor's ability, but also a trait of the 8 spider lances itself. Spirit bones, as long as it wasn't thoroughly destroyed, when damaged, it will regenerate. Of course, its recovery depended on the supply of spirit energy from the spirit master. The 8 spider lances definitely required a significant amount of energy to regenerate. Usually, it would result in a period of weakness for Tang San, but not now at all. The amount of energy in him was worrying. 8 spider lances had finished its recovery, but the amount of energy in Tang San was still unbelievable. Tang San had always been meticulous in his tasks. Having figured out the method, he did not begin cultivating immediately, but rather carefully channeled his mental energy to activate the vast sea shroud between his eyebrows, releasing its vast sea barrier. Blue light enveloped him. Looking from outside, Tang San's body suddenly disappeared from the beach, not even sea water could touch him. However, after using the vast sea cosmic shroud, Tang San became aware of a problem. The vast sea cosmic shroud that used to be lustrous had become exceptionally dull. While it could still maintain the effect of the vast sea barrier, he could not feel the mysterious energy that made his soul shudder. Was the vast sea cosmic shroud weakened? Or rather, the energy within it had fallen. This meant. Tang San thought of a possibility, seeing that faint layer of blue light. His heart leapt. Could the vast sea cosmic shroud have saved his life? A moment later, he dismissed the possibility. Although the vast sea cosmic shroud was good, how could it compare to the deep sea demonic whale? Furthermore, without his control, how could the vast sea cosmic shroud utilize its powers? Not giving the matter a further thought, Tang San began his cultivation. To begin with, Tang San cautiously released his 8 spider lances. It was an absolutely painful process. Even a minor movement would result in intense pain, not to mention that he was releasing his spirit bone. As the 8 spider lances extended from his back, Tang San nearly fainted. Unable to bear with the excruciating pain, he gritted his teeth, enduring with raw will. Sweat poured like rain, and his utterly tattered shirt was drenched. The intense pain was akin to him being roasted over flames. The bloated spirit power in his body was disturbed as a result of his movement, and his meridians experienced the pain of spirit power threatening to burst. Just releasing the 8 spider lances took an hour. By then the torn clothes on Tang San were totally soaked, not by sea water, but his sweat. Gritting his teeth, Tang San's eyes shone with resilience. He was aware that the longer he remained in this situation, the more disadvantageous to his body it would be. He had to resolve this quick. The 8 spider lances extended fully and horizontally behind his back. Tang San began trying, bit by bit, sending the impure spirit power towards the 8 spider lances on his back. Compared to the earlier process, this was even more painful. It was akin to there being a piece of metal within the meridians. Currently, he was trying to move that piece of metal. The sensation of having a metal fragment gnaw on one's meridians needs no further explanation. Time passed second by second. Tang San's consciousness was already becoming fuzzy. Excruciating pain also made his entire body numb, moreover his body was severely overtaxed to begin with. He could not bear with this for much longer. What he was going through, even a titled DouLuo would not be able to stand it. This showed Tang San's perseverance, and his body that had been enhanced by 2 immortal herbs, Blue Silver Emperor, Xiaowu's Spirit Bone, and the Waterfall Training. Even in this excruciatingly painful process, his body did not break apart, but held on. With the entry of energy, each of the 8 spider lances gradually straightened, and its red color became mixed with blue. The blue color naturally stemmed from the deep-sea demonic whale's energy. When the final spider lance was bloated with impure energy, Tang San could hang on no further, and his body collapsed. He had tolerated the debilitating and gut-wrenching pain for too long. With this collapse, Tang San slipped into coma for 3 whole days. Without food and water for such a long duration, only a strong body like his could endure. When he next regained consciousness, he realized the vast sea cosmic shroud enveloping his body had disappeared. Also, he was no longer on the beach, but a run-down bed. His lips were cracked, and he could not open his eyes due to exhaustion. In his groggy state, he could hear a conversation. "Brother, heed your elder brother's words. That person must have been attacked by a spirit beast while out at sea, thus the reason for the state of his body. What point is there in saving him? If Purple Pearl's men learn of this, we might even get into trouble. In my opinion, why not we take his pretty belt and pouch, then throw him back to the beach? He can be left for dead." "Brother, how can you say this? This is a human life." "Good, good, very good, you just continue being the spineless person you are. I am going to go drink. But you be careful, don't let the Purple Pearl people find out." The cool and bright voice impatiently said, "I got it already, you can just go." And so their conversation ended, accompanied only by the sound of footsteps, leaving only one person left in the room. Listening to these voices, Tang San gradually woke up. He only felt that his eyelids were still heavy, although he was already awake, he found it hard to keep both his eyes open. Ever since he had arrived in this world, this was the first time he found himself in this situation. The feeling of weakness was not something nice. Tang San understood, the reason he was so weak, was firstly because he had not eaten or drank anything for many days, another was that when he had excessively drained using the 8 spider lances, his energy, mental consumption was too great and the bodily pain was just too intense for him to bear. As such, even his perverse constitution was not enough to bear this much torture. His physical weakness resulted in him not being able to do anything. Although his consciousness had returned, his mental power was just as weak as his body. That day's exhaustion was just too great, and the pain that he endured was just too great. It was an indescribable suffering. Even when he thought about it now, he was still fearful. If he had to do it all over again, he was unsure if he would be able to. Currently, his body's weakness is at a frightening degree. There was not any mental energy he could use, let alone his spiritual energy. He could only quietly lay here, and allow his body to slowly recover. It was at this moment, Tang San felt a strong arm under his neck. With some force, the arm lifted his back up slightly. Soon after, there were 2 extra pillows behind him propping him up. I take it that you are awake. It is really hard to imagine what actually caused your current condition. In such a state of weakness yet still alive. If I am not wrong, you should not have eaten in about 10 days or so. Your body was also heavily injured. Even my medical skills are insufficient to determine what has happened. Since you are awake, let me feed you some things. Afterwards I will give you some medicine to help you recover more quickly. Hopefully your strong life force will help pull you through. Because, I hope the people I rescue live. He knows I am awake? Tang San was inwardly surprised. But from the other party's speech, he could tell that the person was extremely caring. A warm object approached his mouth. Tang San did his best to open his mouth, and a spoonful of warm gruel entered his mouth. This spoonful was just right, and not at all too much. Barely, he was able to swallow it. Tang San could clearly feel a warm feeling pass down through his esophagus into his stomach and then spread throughout his body. His originally extremely weak body, through this warm spoonful of gruel, instantly felt much better. Every single meridian in his body felt as if they were awakened by this warmth. After eating a bowl of gruel, although Tang San desired for more, this person did not feed him. You have not eaten in a long time, so you should not eat too much immediately. Or else, there would be detrimental effects on the body. This much is enough for now. Let me feed you some mild medicine. It might taste bad, but you must still eat it. It is good for your body. The warm spoon once again approached his mouth, this time filled with a thick medicine's smell. After taking a spoonful, Tang San felt completely at ease. Given his knowledge towards medicine, even if he was in this state, he was still able to determine what exactly was inside this medicine that was prepared. Just as the person said, this was an extremely mild medicine, and is extremely beneficial to his recovery. After finishing his medicine, Tang San gradually became at ease, and his body was warm. Ever since that day's exchange with the deep-sea demonic whale, this was the first time he felt so comfortable. Under this warm embrace, he fell asleep. When Tang San once again realized he was awake, his bodily condition had greatly improved. His mental energy had recovered about 20%, and his physical condition had improved slightly. After excessive use, his blue-silver emperor right leg spirit bones effect had greatly weakened. But after consuming some food and medicine, his weakened body recovered its luster. This time when he woke up, he could feel his more energy in his body, and only the meridians attached to the 8 spider lances on his back were in pain. Other parts of him no longer felt as much pain. This time at least it was bearable. Lightly breathing, his mental energy fused with his mysterious heaven technique, allowing him to once again see his body's condition. The amount of energy the 8 spire lances could accommodate was much more than he had initially thought. That day, when he had put all the absorbed energy he could into the 8 spider lance, all the way until he had fainted, the lances had only reached about 60% in capacity. As such, Tang San's condition was much better as the absorbed energy was no longer more than the capacity of his mysterious heaven skill. Of course, this was only if his mysterious heaven skill was in perfect condition. In actuality, along with his weakened physical state, the mysterious heaven skill was also significantly weakened. All this needed time to recover. But at the very least he was now on the path to recovery. Carefully, he activated his mysterious heaven skill, at a pace less than 1/10 of his original pace. Ignoring all of the absorbed energy, he only circulated his mysterious heaven skill's chi. Tang San certainly was not an impatient person, furthermore he was also an extremely clever person. In his current situation, it could be said that none of the most critical issues had been dealt with. As such, he could not excessively worry and rush, else the effects on him would be detrimental. What felt like 1 cycle's worth of practice used 2 whole hours of work, but in this one day, he managed to regain control of his whole body. The mysterious heaven skill too began to reoccupy most of his body. Tang San did not rush to digest the different energy he absorbed, rather he focused on using his mysterious heaven skill and his blue-silver emperor right leg spirit bone to recover his meridians. Actually, even after experience immense pressure, not a single one of his meridians burst. If they had, he would have been screwed. Still, his meridians all had signs of experiencing significant trauma. Under the effects of both the mysterious heaven skill and blue-silver emperor right leg spirit bone, Tang San's meridians started to recover their flexibility and toughness. Only after completely mending his meridians, did Tang San once more go into slumber. His mental power was still far from being fully recovered. And sleeping happened to be his best method of recovering mental power at the moment. After an unknown amount of time, the sounds of footsteps woke Tang San up. He had already recovered a good amount of his perception. Already awake? You are recovering at a really frightening pace. You should be a pretty strong spirit master. I have no idea what your spirit must be, such that you can have such an astounding life force and vitality. Compared to yesterday, your condition has already significantly improved. If you can, please open your eyes for me. Slowly his eyes opened. Initially, his eyesight was still slightly blurry, but with Tang San's purple demon eyes, in an instant his vision recovered. He realized that he had been lying in a small wooden hut. The hut was not too big, only a few square meters wide. There was also barely any furniture in the hut, making it feel like it belonged to a simple fisherman living near the coast. In front of his bed stood an average-looking youth. Although he looked simple, Tang San felt he was nothing but simple. Because, his face was completely calm, with not an ounce of emotion showing. He seemed slightly older than Tang San himself, calming watching Tang San, just like his expression his voice had no fluctuation in emotion. Thank you for saving my life. After not speaking for many days, Tang San's voice sounded hoarse. The youth took note of Tang San's eyes, revealing a sliver of surprise. Seeing your pupils, your body must have recovered even faster than I had predicted. Even the most powerful aquatic spirit is probably no match for your resilience. Tang San bitterly smiled as he said, no, actually my body is far from recovered. Only I practice a special eye technique, as such my eyes seem more energetic than a normal person's. May I know the name of this benefactor? The youth indifferently said, I am Ji Xiang 1. You can call me this. I am no benefactor, you saved yourself. Without your own recovery power, even if I was a better doctor, I would have no way to help you. What's more, your condition is something I have never seen before. Even if I wanted to help you, I wouldn't know where to start from. Tang San smilingly said, you are a good person. Regardless, you are the person who brought me back here. I owe you a life. Ji Xiang indifferently smiled, saying, many people owe me a life. You are not the first, probably also not the last. Enough, since you just woke up, you should not speak too much, let me bring you some food. It was porridge one again, but significantly thicker than before. This time Ji Xiang did not restrict the amount Tang San ate. In addition to some fish floss, Tang San voraciously ate 3 bowls before stopping. Only after finishing did Tang San realize that he was already in a fresh set of clothes. Although there were a few patches, the clothes were very clean. Ji Xiang, can you give me my belt and pouch? Hearing Tang San say these, Ji Xiang forehead let out a faint sense of disdain, but without comments, he pulled out a cloth bag from the side of a desk, taking out the 24 moonlight bridges and the wishful treasures purse. Tang San knows that he may have misunderstood his intentions. Without explaining, after receiving the 2 spirit tools, he forcefully drew some spirit power. Reaching into the wishful 100 treasures purse, he pulled out a dragon zoysia leaf. Seeing Tang San take out that curly green leaf, Ji Xiang somewhat taken aback asked, that is the dragon zoysia leaf? You are going to eat it? Tang San nodded his head, the conditions here are not suitable for preparing medicine, so I can only eat it like this. After bringing the leaf to his mouth, he chewed and swallowed it. This herb was exceptionally good at strengthening foundations, and was extremely good for his condition. The disdain on Ji Xiang's face is long gone. He understood that the reason Tang San wanted his spirit tools back was not because he was afraid Ji Xiang took his stuff, rather because he wanted to eat the dragon zoysia leaf to recover his body. It would appear you do not need me to concoct your medicines for you. Do you know about medicine? Tang San nodded his head saying, I have some knowledge in medicine, but I am more well versed in poison. I cannot be considered good at medicine. Oh, you should rest. Ji Xiang nodded towards Tang San, not waiting for his reply. He turned around and left. Seeing his back, Tang San had a weird feeling. Tang San had a good impression on this youth, but from his gaze and expression, he could guess that his personality was definitely due to some incident in the past. But he should be a very pure person, if not he would not have so easily revealed his emotions on his face. Dropping this, he once again focused on recovering his strength. As he wondered how the others were doing, he felt an anxiousness creep over him. Quickly he took a deep breath and stabilized his emotions. Sitting cross-legged, he resumed his cultivation. After repairing his meridians which he roused previously, his physical condition had indeed improved significantly. At this point in time cultivating the mysterious heaven skill would no longer be as difficult as before. During the cultivation process, each time the mysterious heaven skill circulated, his physical condition would improve, and the absorbed energy would be partially digested, filtered through the mysterious heaven skill. Tang San would assimilate the absorbed energy into the mysterious heaven skill, while the impurities would be expelled through his breathing. At the start, it was like the dripping of water into a bucket, an extremely slow process. The energy coming from the deep-sea demonic whale was not something that could be so easily absorbed. But as time passed, Tang San's mysterious heaven energy became more and more vigorous and the absorbed energy supply became smaller and smaller. As the cultivation progressed, the process became smoother and smoother. This time for cultivation, Tang San used a total of 3 whole days, during which Ji Xiang visited several times, each time seeing him cultivating thus leaving him alone. 3 days later, Tang San once again opened his eyes, the weakness in his eyes completely vanished, replaced with vigor. Using 3 whole days, Tang San finally managed to rid his body of the amalgamate of absorbed energy, clearing out the impediments in his meridians. What surprised him was that the size of his meridians nearly doubled and his spirit power greatly increased. Originally he was at the 66th rank, now he was already at the 67th rank nearing the boundary of the 68th rank. According to his calculations, once he managed to assimilate all the absorbed energy in the 8 spider lances, he should be able to break through to the 68th rank. The reason he had been able to so quickly jump 2 ranks was not only because he disregarded everything and drained energy from the deep-sea demonic whale, it was also the pressure Tang San faced from the deep-sea demonic whale which helped to stimulate his own potential. Grandmaster once mentioned, on the verge of life and death was where spirit masters had the best opportunity to power up. Of course one had to pass the crisis otherwise it would be for naught. This saying also meant that in order to obtain the largest benefit, the risks were also the largest. Tang San somehow managing to barely survive was a blessing in disguise. After the 60th rank, jumping up a rank requires an extremely large amount of spirit power. This experience should have at least saved him a year's worth of struggles. However, if given the choice, Tang San would certainly not want to do this again. He did not believe that he would be so lucky as to survive another encounter with something as horrifying as the deep-sea demonic whale. Lightly getting off the bed, although he had not had any physical activity in a while, he had been cultivating his whole body, so although he was slightly dizzy, the feeling he felt the most was his hunger. Inside his 24 moonlight bridges there was quite a lot of food. Without bothering about others, he sat by the desk in the hut and started to replenish the nutrients he lost. After his body recovered, the next step for him was to come up with a plan to find his companions. 1 Ji Xiang, lucky. It ends here, be patient my friend, go watch the King's Avatar, it is a good anime or donghua. See ya.